Summer is here, and for most of us, that means traveling. But make sure you take your chargers for your cell phones and your tablets and all of your other devices. Stick around, and I'll tell you why. Welcome to 10-Minute Tech Tips, an HCTC podcast of topics that I think you just might like. I am your host, Kerry Sutton, and I'm part of the Community Relations and Marketing team here at HCTC. I welcome your comments, so feel free to reach out to me at podcast@hctc.net or give me a call at 830-367-5333. Well, I just learned of something that I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about. Now, I'm typically on top of these kinds of things, but this was a new term for me. It's called juice jacking. Now, that sounds kind of silly. However, it's very serious. And what is juice jacking? Well, it's a process of a bad guy, a person that creates viruses or a hacker loading a malware or a virus onto your device when you use one of those public charging stations. So if you go, usually an airport, some of the new airport seats now, they've got they have charging stations between each seat, so you can stay there and charge your phone up, and make sure you have your games or your radio or your music to listen to on your flight. Sometimes the hospitals will have those maybe in a waiting room. Hotels will have those kind of on the side of the bed. Sometimes you don't have to plug it in. You don't have to have a power brick. You can just plug it into the USB stations. Well, in all of these places, a hacker could have loaded a virus onto that, which when you plug your phone in, that will download to your phone or your tablet, and then he could have the ability to see everything that you type. Now, of course, there's different kinds of viruses, and they all could do different things. But just take, for example, if somebody put what's called a data logger virus onto your device, and then that might allow them to have a copy of every keystroke that you did on your device. So if you typed an email, it would have all that information. If you went to your bank account, keying in your password, all those kinds of things, he would have a physical copy of all of that information. So these can be very serious. Now, if you're sitting there playing Candy Crush in a waiting room somewhere, maybe not such a big deal. However, down the road, these things they're not just here and they go away. They're going to be on your phone for the foreseeable future, or maybe until you upgrade the software. But this person is going to be able to capture that information and be able to track everything that you do. I watched a couple specials on YouTube that some of the major TV networks had done, and they did a test run where they put this hack onto someone's phone, and then as he was driving around town, just using his phone in a normal course of business or personal use, the hacker back at his office was capturing everything this person did. And then the guy, the camera crews, went back to the hacker's office. Once again, this was a good hacker. He demonstrating what can happen, and he basically told them everything he did with his phone, all of his passwords, the sites that he visited, and even an email or two that he had typed and had sent. So they demonstrated this in a near real-time type of event on TV. So it's kind of frightening to watch. So I don't have any statistics that show how many public charging places may be infected with something like this. However, I don't know. One is enough if it's the one that you plug into. So how do we get around this? Well, there's a product, and I'm sure there's places you can buy it. Like everybody else, I buy everything off of Amazon. Not supporting Amazon, I'm just for convenience sake. It's called a USB data blocker. And it's a device. It looks like a USB jump drive, and it performs kind of the same way. You plug it into the USB charging port, and then you plug your cable into the back side of it. And this device blocks any data bits traveling from the source to your device. So if there's a virus, if there's I don't know, anything bad that's on there. It will not allow that to travel, one way or the other. So they're not expensive. I'm looking at some now. Here's a 5-pack for $20, and I think you can buy one for $3 or $4 online. But this is something you may want to consider for, family. I guess you could say, hey, they just make great Christmas gifts. I guess I would buy them now and give them to everybody in your family and say, hey, use these when you travel. Or, you could say, take your power brick, take all your chargers, and just, plug into a power supply. I can't promise you that there's not a virus that's into an electrical grid at a hotel or a public place. I certainly don't know that. Could it happen? Possibly. I don't know. But so my point is, nothing is foolproof. However, I would recommend you take all the precautions you can. Just be safe when you go out. Your data is your data, and you want to make sure it's yours. No one else needs to see what's on your phone, unless you decide to share it with them. So once again, it's called a data blocker, or you can look up juice jacking on Amazon, or maybe go to YouTube, watch some videos about it, see what is juice jacking all about. There didn't seem to be a lot of information about it, so it may be something that not many people know about, but I wanted to make sure that you knew about it. So if you go to the airport or hotel or wherever your travels take you, certainly be safe and make sure you have your data blockers. This podcast should not be copied, distributed, published, or reproduced, either in whole or in part, without the express written consent of HCTC. Any inquiries relating to the podcast should be directed to the Manager of Community Relations at podcast@hctc.net. Thank you for joining us.